From the city of bright lights to gunplay and fistfights, to roaming the vast desert sipping gawa at midnight. Some are waiting for me to fail, but Allah had better plans. Keep relying on my Lord while relying on no man. Trying to duck away from my haters while staying sucker free. Making salat 5 times a day, hoping my sins won't be the end of me. You know we all got enemies, some smile pretending to be friendly, while the rest of me mugging trying to hide behind their envy. It's from the mercy of my Lord that I went from standing on the block selling rocks to standing next to the Kaaba making salat next to my eye.
Joined here today with Mutah Beale, formerly known as Napoleon of the Outlaws, the group founded by Tupac Shakur. And welcome to the show, brother.
It's a pleasure having me. Thank you, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Can
and
you
you
tell
out
us...
in Australia? I'm in Los Angeles now.
Yeah, it's crazy. 15 hours time difference.
Yes. I hear you, man. I've been to Australia a few times, man. What part of Australia are you from?
I'm originally from the East Coast, but now I'm living in the West Coast.
So, okay, West Coast.
Yeah.
My life story is the same. I was originally from the East Coast and then moved to the West Coast.
Wow. Whereabouts did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town. Well, not a small town, really. It was connected to Newark, which is a big city called Irvington, New Jersey. And but I moved to Los Angeles when maybe I was 16, 17 years old. So I would say that I'm bi-coastal, grew up on the, born and raised on the East Coast, but I became a young man on the West Coast. Now I live in Saudi Arabia.
Wow, that's crazy. When did you move to Saudi Arabia?
I moved to Saudi, I would say now approximately close, maybe 12 years.
Wow.
Been there for 12 years now. Yeah, Dubai and the Middle East, it's nice. It's very different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
very
so
different.
clean there. It's awesome.
Yeah, very clean.
And can you tell us how before the Outlaws, you're in Dramacidal, is that correct?
Yes. Before we became Outlaws, we actually was first called Young Thugs, which was myself, Edie, Castro, Gaddafi. After the Young Thugs, Pac he changed our name to Dramacidal. Dramacidal, it was short-lived as a group. I mean, we did do a whole record with Interscope Records. A lot of people don't know we did a whole album with Interscope Records. So, but when Pac was in jail, when he was locked up, he signed to Death Row Records. That's when he decided that we're not going to continue with Interscope Records, and we're going to go to Death Row Records. So eventually, we left Death Row. We left Interscope Records, joined him at Death Row with him, and that's when we became the Outlaws.
Wow! Your first album that came out was that Still I Rise? That was a collaboration with Tupac.
That was the first album that we did, with Tupac together, because a lot of people don't know Tupac was actually a member of the Outlaws.
Yeah.
So that was an album we was working on before he passed away. But of course, I've been on many records from Me Against the World onward. Me Against the World was the first time I ever collaborated on a record with Tupac that, that came out. And so I was on Me Against the World, All Eyes on Me, Machiavelli. And then they started releasing other records after him that I was on after he passed away. So what I would say is that Still I Rise was one of those albums that before Pop passed away, we was working on it. And when he died, we was able to put it out.
Yeah. That was released in 1999. What was the Outlaws up to between 1996 and that time? What were you guys doing?
We were stuck in a contract with Death Row. That's why after Pac died, we went to Death Row and we was fighting for a few years just to get released. So this is why from 1996 into 1999, we were stuck. Suge was in jail. We were stuck in contract, fighting for years just to get released. And eventually when we got released and we put the Still I Rise out, we started to go independent. We did everything independent on our own. We didn't trust record labels after that.
Wow. Sounds like Novocaine and
yes.
stuff.
We went solo, independent for sure.
Yeah.
Not solo, independent.
You did well to do that. How did you get released from Death Row? Was that they just eventually just let you go?
At first, eventually, but it was difficult. I went to visit Suge Knight in prison myself. At first, we wanted to just, some of the group members just wanted to get a lawyer and just go right after him. But the type of person I am, I said, I prefer to look at a man face to face, look him in his eyes, tell Suge, look, we want to get off your record label. You know what I mean? So I did that. You know, Reggie Wright drove me to the prison. I told him, I said, we want to get released. He was like, okay, cool. I'm not withholding nobody who don't want to be down. You know, that's what he said. And but what happened is when we left the prison, he never released us. So then we had to get a lawyer, then we had to go to court, and eventually we settled, and that's when we got released.
That's a pretty crazy story, man. Like I thought they just would have let you go and do your own thing.
Nah, that's how we lost so many years. You know, we could have even got millions of dollars because the lawsuit we was suing for millions, but then they were just like, if you drop the lawsuit, we here just release you.
Yeah.
So we was like, you know what, let's just get out the contract.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've seen a story about. Can you talk about how you snatched the mic off Puffy? How did that all come about?
that thing happened, man. With after Pac died, I still had my loyalty to a person that took me out of the ghetto, took me from my neighborhood, helped my family. So it was like an MTV. I think it was an MTV Awards, and they was doing a tribute show to Biggie and Pac. Tretch from Naughty by Nature did a song. He was going to rap it for Pac. Puffy had a song with Faith, I'll Be Missing You or whatever. He was going to do it for Biggie, but I couldn't let that go through. They wanted us to be on the stage with him, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ruin everything because I'm not going to move forward with that. And that's what I did. I snatched the mic with him at rehearsal.
Wow.
And they kicked us out and they didn't, it ended it. But that was really my plan. I couldn't do it, you know what I mean? Even though Steve Lobel, shout out to Steve Lobel, who was our manager at that particular time, he was trying to get us to get past this ignorant East Coast, West Coast beef and stuff like that. But back then I couldn't see it. Even though I believe the beef, East Coast, West Coast beef, it should have ended. But I still have my morals that even if we end the East Coast, West Coast beef, doesn't mean I have to be with friends with certain people that I just don't, agree with,
Yeah. Do you think Diddy, after that, like that, he had an impact of maybe sort of, I guess, holding his back a little bit from certain things?
I think he definitely was shocked. You know what I mean? I think he realized at that day that it was real.
Yeah.
He probably thought it was something that, years would go by and we'd be rubbing shoulders, or not even rubbing shoulders, but just back together and then see each other and say, hey, how are you? It probably would have been that way if I wouldn't have snatched that mic. With some of the Outlaw members, they probably would have wanted to be, cordial with him. You know what I mean? But for me, it's just something, especially back then, that I was like, man, I can never be friends with this individual.
Yeah, because the Outlaws had a lot of good music, and I feel like they didn't get as much, didn't get as much recognition as it should have been. Do you think it was a blackballed from the industry?
Definitely was a blackball, because when Pac was alive, he was riding all of the people who became the biggest stars in hip hop.
Yeah,
Puff Daddy, Jay-Z, you know what I mean? So of course, if we riding off we riding off of what Pac left us, and we dissing these people, and now they become powerful figures in the music industry. That's why we never really got our play. No record labels wanted to deal with us. We was considered like the troublemakers, and but everything happened for a reason. Everything happened for a reason. I'm not mad at it. I'm not the one who get upset and say, if this didn't happen, we would be here, because I look at it now like maybe we would have blew up, so millions of more records, but we probably would have lost our souls. In the meantime, probably would have been bad people from what the industry can make you. So I don't really trip off of that. I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I've always wondered, did Snoop and people like Dr. Dre try and reach out to you to do stuff, or everyone just sort of?
Nah, Snoop and them never reached out, you know what I mean? But we ran into Dr. Dre one day, and Dr. Dre told me, said, imagine if I mess with you guys.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine if I put my beats behind the Outlaws. And he gave me the number to the studio, and I called and left a message once or twice. When he never called back, I got the picture, because Dre, he don't just deal with anybody. He know that if he would have produced us, Dr. Dre producing the Outlaws, he know he probably would have made millions of dollars. But Dr. Dre is a type of individual, it's not all about money for him. If he don't feel comfortable, because back then we was wild. If he don't feel comfortable with you, even though it could probably be a dope combination, but Dre was like, man, I don't got time for the headache. So I'm sure that's the reason he never contacted us back.
Wow. I'm surprised by that, just even with Snoop, because they were always talking about Tupac and how much they loved him, how loyal they were. But
But when Pac died, bro, everybody showed their true face.
yeah,
That's one of the things I learned from the music industry or the so-called Hollywood entertainment. Is fake. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, it's not really that many authentic people in that industry.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So, and we learned that when Pac was alive, they smile in your face, they was happy and pretending to be happy. And oh, these your homies, Pac, bring them over. But when Pac died, them same individuals, they would just see us from a distance. Hey, what's up? Later on, the Outlaws did songs when I walked away from the industry. They did songs with Snoop Dogg and them. But if they was really Pac homies
yeah.
and Pac died, by nature, they would have said, let us hook up with the Outlaws. Let's see what's up with them. But, it was my first experience that the industry is fake. It's not really, it's probably one of the worst industries on the planet to me to be involved in.
Wow. It's like a shady industry, yeah.
Very shady.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about was Trading War Stories, the song. Like after
Yes.
seeing one of your interviews, when you talked about what happened with your parents, like that verse that you
Yeah.
had on that song really hit me different.
Oh, thank you, man.
Can you talk about
Yeah, with
that?
Trading War Stories, it was really one of these things where it was one Trading War Story was when we was in the studio and Pac wanted to do a song and he wanted to call it Trading War Story. The first thing that came to my mind is that the war story that I can speak about is the death of my parents. That was the first war story that that was the first war probably as a kid that I was involved in. 3 years old saying your parents get murdered. Even though I could have spoke about many, many other things, but for me, that was therapy.
Wow.
Being able to say, you know what, let me just put this on a record. Let me be able to make this a therapeutic moment rather than, a war story. For me, that was therapy. I had to get it out my chest. I had to rap about it. I wanted to speak about it. And that's why I chose Trading War Story to do it.
Wow. Yeah, it was definitely knowing your story now. It really changes the way I hear that song too.
Yes, yes.
What was your favorite memory with the Outlaws, your group?
My favorite memory of the Outlaws with Tupac, I would really say just the camaraderie we had more than just, anything else.
Yeah.
Because we was these type of people that we stayed most of the time at Pac house. We wasn't the type of person that was always in nightclubs and stuff like that. If we come from the studio from a movie set with Pac, we would be at his house chilling.
Wow.
And so just to remember those times, sitting, joking and laughing, eating together, you know what I mean? That's irreplaceable, of course, because, the music industry and these type of things come and goes. But when you have family that's no longer here, seeing, yesterday I went to the Tupac exhibition. So when you
Yeah.
see pictures of, Big Syke, for example, Gaddafi, Tupac, and I'm looking like, wow, these people are not here anymore. It makes you want to be grateful, take advantage of every second you have with your loved ones. It's very important.
Yeah, definitely. Do you still keep in touch with other Outlaws like Mapreem and
Yeah, I
Storm
spoke
and
to
stuff?
Mopre. Matter of fact, once I get off this interview with you, I'm gonna call him. He texted me and asked me to call him. I seen Mopre a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Young Noble, we talked 2 days ago. Edie, he has a podcast show, so I'm doing an interview on his podcast show Sunday.
Yeah,
I
cool.
also have a podcast show, so I got to shout out my podcast show, my co-host Q.
Yeah, shout it out, man. Yeah, all day. It's awesome. How long are you over there for now?
I'm only here for a couple more days, and then I'm heading back to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I've been here, I think on this side of the world, I've been to Toronto, Puerto Rico, LA, San Diego. I think I've been for like a month and a half, so it was good coming back, seeing family and friends,
What about Castro? Is like no one. He's just quiet.
Yeah, Castro just quiet. He's not on social media, man. He always been the type of person behind the scenes. So hopefully I'll speak to him before I roll out.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen that you got a coffee business over in Saudi Arabia too.
Yes.
Can you tell us how that got started?
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? I always been in love with coffee from the time that as a kid, my grandfather was the first one. My grandfather's from Cuba. He was the first one that introduced me to coffee, and years went past, and I wanted to get back into some type of business after I left the music industry, and I started to research coffee. You know, I love drinking coffee. When I found out that I can enjoy what I love and also do a business with, I decided to get involved in the coffee business. So I founded a coffee company called MW Cafe. A good friend of mine by the name of Mansour, who's a Saudi brother, he brought it to Saudi Arabia. Right. I'm also a partner in a restaurant, a smoked barbecue restaurant called Smoky Beers. And so I'm enjoying it, you know what I mean? Being a part of the food and the beverage industry and entrepreneur, you know, I love it, you know what I mean? Ain't nothing like, you know, I think everybody love good coffee and good brisket, good barbecue.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's two good things to have behind you.
Real talk, yeah.
And you got a book out too, is that right?
Yes, I have a book, man. Shout out to Suleiman Jenkins. It's a good friend of mine who written my book called Life is Raw. On my book, we really go into details in a way that's that I believe, you know, when the readers read my book, they will be able to appreciate it, even if they're not from the hood, even if they doesn't, you know, share the same ethnicity of me or come from the same background. But the way he written the book, it can resonate with anybody, because it's, you know, growing up the way I grew up and the industry I was involved in, and the way he tells stories, I think everybody can take something away from it. So please go check it out. Life is Raw.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll put a link up on this interview as well for people to go and
thank you, bro.
To go and get it.
Appreciate it.
Is it no problem? Is it true that you're not allowed to make music now? Is that?
Yeah, because of my religion, you know, when I studied the facts about, you know, musical instruments in Islam, and just to clarify it, because Islam is one of them religions that it try to always teach us to protect our inner selves more than our outer selves. And music is one of them things where, and I always like to compare it with a verse that God used in the Quran about wine and alcohol. He said, in it, there's some benefit in it, but the harms outweighs the good, so refrain from it altogether. And I feel that's the same with music, because musical instruments, you have some people can say, well, we can listen to musical instruments that can make us feel good. But you also have a study. They did a study in Toronto University and found out that certain musical instruments affect a person physical, mentally. Like it can make you depressed. Some people might wake up and they don't even know why they're depressed. It's because they fell asleep listening to a certain musical instrument, a sound that has a physical effect on you. So that's why in our religion, we try not to let anything control us like that. So it's best to refrain from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've seen you do poetry though. So is that, as long as you're allowed to do that?
Yeah, poetry, definitely. It's in poetry, even, you know, it's part of the culture of Islam. Yeah. So I like poetry because I like writing. You know, when we started rapping, we was like poets. Yeah. We call ourselves ghetto poets, you know what I mean? So you will still see poetry from me from time to time.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It'd be awesome to see like a poetry album from you, man. Like,
you never know, bro.
Yeah, I was hoping that you were going to have like a poetry verse, you know, on the new One Nation album from the Outlaws.
They tried to get me, but I just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Because after it'd be promoting music and stuff like that, so I had to stay away from it.
Yeah. Can you listen to any music?
I don't listen to music. Yeah, I don't listen to it. Yes.
So you still got poetry, man. I was listening to some of your stuff earlier on YouTube. It was pretty cool.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. What was your favorite Tupac memory?
Man, I would say memories, you know, just, you know, Pac was, he just was the life of the crowd, always joking and joking around. You know what I mean? So I miss those days with him joking and clowning, and, you know what I mean? We was family and we always had a good time with each other. So the best memories is just always, just remember clowning. Like we would have clowning sessions for hours. We'd be at his house and we'd just be joking and laughing and having a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What was the biggest thing you regret in that time in your music industry when you were there?
The only thing I regret, you know what I mean? You know, one of the things I always tell people, bro, you know, I never really sit back. I might not agree with certain things that I've done in my past, but I never would say I regret it, because if it wasn't for my past, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And I wouldn't be able to, I learned so much from my past. So even my mistakes, even the things that I regret, I always look at it as a life lesson. Yeah. These things is always a life lesson for me.
Wow. That's awesome. What advice would you give to someone coming up, not necessarily they want to get in a music business, just if they want to get into any business or just, starting out in life, what would you tell someone?
My advice is never give up, because things, don't always come easy. And I always like to share, especially as an entrepreneur, I always like to share the story of Starbucks. Starbucks got turned away, if I'm not, is either 260 or 270 times.
Wow.
People told them, imagine people telling them, that's not a good idea, I'm not investing in that idea, 270 times, and they never gave up. Now look at Starbucks. So we as humans, sometimes we get told one time, we might have the best idea. We might, even if it's not the best idea, it's a good idea for us, but we can, because most people negative, you get a lot of negative people saying a lot of negative stuff. So we hear something negative, we scrap the idea. So I always like to tell people, man, don't give up. Keep pushing until you reach that goal.
Wow. You motivated me, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, don't give up, especially for you. I know you just started your podcast show.
Yeah.
And a podcast show, it might not be easy. You might take time to gradually get more viewers. I'm going to do it too with my podcast show. So people might think, oh, he's Napoleon from the Outlaws, automatically it's going to hit. No, because we're dealing with a different type of people. Now we're not talking music. We're talking about topics that make people want to listen.
Yeah.
You understand? So don't give up, man. Keep going. And I'm honored to be one of the first guests on your show.
No, man, it's crazy that we're able to link up and talk to you. What would be your favorite movies? Do you watch movies?
I like documentaries, but my favorite movie, all-time movie, is The Gladiator.
Yeah.
I love that story.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I love that story. That's when I used to call myself Maximus.
That's awesome.
Napoleon, aka Maximus.
Yeah, that's cool. And how did you first come to, you're in the music business, and then you got out as you found Islam. How did that happen?
Yeah. I just wanted to, for me, a lot of people may not know that I was born Muslim. My mother and father converted to Islam before I was born. And but I was raised Christian growing up with my grandparents. But, it got to a point in my life where I wanted peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I knew that I always had a connection. I always believed in God. Even though when I didn't have a religion, I always knew that it was a higher power. I always believed in God. And when I read about Islam, there was a friend of mine who happened to stop the fight between me and my brother. And he's an American Muslim by the name of Mikhail Kamil. He invited me to the mosque. He gave me literature of the religion of Islam. And it was, not only that, when I went to the mosque, I seen, growing up here as a Christian in America, churches are still divided by race. You still will have an all-white church, or all Asian church, or all Black church.
Wow.
When I went to the mosque that day, I seen white American Muslims, Arab Muslims, Black Muslims, and all of them was getting along. Pakistani Muslims, and everybody getting along. And when it's time to come to pray, it wasn't divided by race. So I seen all these different people. And I wanted to know more about that. That was the first time I said, you know what? I need to learn more about this religion. I had no clue about Islam. So when he gave me books about it, I went home and read it. And that's when I knew I wanted this. I needed this in my life.
Yeah. Man, that's cool. And
for sure.
For now, what's the average day in your life now? What are you doing?
Now, man, I just, when I'm back in Saudi, I have my businesses there. So I go to work, go check. A lot of people think if you're a business owner, you just sit back and collect revenue. It doesn't work like that. Some businesses do, but I have to go put in work. I go put in hours. I go, go work. So pick my kids up from school. I'm just a family man now. Yep. You know what I mean? I take it easy. I enjoy spending time with my kids.
Well, that's awesome. Well, and what's been the hardest point in your life up to now?
The hardest point?
Yeah.
I definitely face a lot of difficulties. I think, one of the tests, I call them tests, because, after I left the music industry, I hit rock bottom. You know what I mean? I hit rock bottom, and I remember that was some difficult days for me, but I always say it was the best time for me.
Yeah, okay.
When I lost everything, and I was with my wife, and my son Muhammad was only 6 months old, and we were sleeping on the floor. We had nothing. It was the best days for me because it made me appreciate of every penny that I made back. Like when I started making money and I got my first rental car and I got my first apartment, it made me really appreciate life. It made me really appreciate, value working hard for my money, but not, it changed me even the way I think about money.
Yeah.
You know, where money comes and goes. Money is God provides, you know what I mean? So some of the best days of my life, the hardest, but the best. It was all lessons for me.
Wow.
All lessons.
I'm surprised to hear that, because I thought, you know, the amount of records you were on, you know, even back to Outlaws, I mean, that you would be set forever, you know.
No, because the music industry, especially from our time, is corrupt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They stole millions of dollars from us.
Wow.
They stole millions of dollars from us. So when I walked away from the music industry, I could have been set for life, but when I became Muslim, if I don't believe in, for example, if I believe music is not allowed in my religion, then it's also not allowed for me to eat from that from the money that comes from music. So I walked away from my money that was coming from, you know, selling records as well. So when I hit rock bottom, and that's why people thought I was crazy, because they kept saying this guy can go back. I can be living off of that for the rest of my life, but I walked away from it because if it's not permissible for me to listen to it, or, you know, in my religion, I can't eat from it as well. You know.
Man, it's good on you for staying strong and true to yourself. Like,
thank you.
Is that how it works? Where people get like royalties from songs in that industry?
You get royalty from songs, and you get it every 6 months.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So we definitely been selling over millions of records. It's not like now, because everything changed digitally. So people get from the new generation, they get money from YouTube views, they get money from downloads. Before, we had to do, you know, record sales. But even now, when they download these stuff, we still supposed to receive some of that. Even if the sales go low, you know, it would still have been enough for me to survive yearly. But thank God, you know, I walked away from it. I have my peace, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're still there, you could have been like on iTunes. Someone does something like that, always will go to you.
Real talk.
Man, that's crazy. What's your plans for the next 12 months? You know, you got your coffee business, your restaurant business, your podcast. Where do you see in 12 months?
God willing, if I'm around, you know, the next 12 months, go back. You know, we trying to expand in some of our businesses. Try to continue to do some more, you know, plans that I have for different businesses. And, you know, I recently purchased some land in Puerto Rico. Me and my business partner, Mutah Beale, we plan to do like a very small resort on the property, get back to the Puerto Rican people, raise my kids, you know, that's it really. You know what I mean? I take it day by day, step by step. Yeah.
No, that's cool, man. And I'm sure you're going to be successful with anything you do.
God willing. Thank you, brother. Even if it's not success, like I always tell people, everything is a learning. It's not a loss. You know? So if you lose in one way, but you learn something from it, that's how I like to live life and think about things, you know?
Yeah. And you always look happy now whenever I see you post, or, you know, a video, or like compared to like your early days in the music industry. You're always...
my early days, you couldn't catch me. I never smiled. I couldn't, to be honest, I couldn't smile.
Yeah.
Even if I tried, I wasn't the type of person. Maybe you probably have found 1 or 2 pictures of me smiling, but it was just hard for me to smile. I was unhappy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Was there anyone from back then, you know, like back to, we're talking about Snoop and Dre, was there any big people back then that did keep it real with you guys?
Who I would say, man, from back in the day that just was solid with us? You know, what can I say? E40, you know, he always been real when we seen him. Steve Lobel, you know, they showed us a lot of love. Bone Thugs and Harmony, they put us on tour with him. Fat Joe, you know, I remember Fat Joe used to say, man, these are pop people. Nobody showing y'all love. Come get on the radio station with me. Come open up. So these are the people that really looked out. And if it's anybody else that I forget, Mike Epps. Yeah. Mike Epps always showed me love. So these are the people that I don't forget, you know what I mean? And if it's anyone that I forget, forgive me, but these are the ones that stand out.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool. And they stuck by us, you know, even after Pac's gone. Were you in Vegas when Tupac got shot?
I wasn't in Vegas when he got shot. You know, I was actually at his house in Calabasas with Young Noble. But I got the phone call, and that's when we drove out there, you know?
Yeah, because I know in Australia, you know, you see all online all the conspiracy theories, and yeah, I was talking to someone at work, you know, recently, and they're like, "No, he's still alive somewhere." It's like, no, he wouldn't
Yeah,
be
I
like
think he won't
staying
be. He can't
quiet.
hide. He can't stay quiet for this long. You know
No
what I
way. He'd have messages for the world.
Yeah, he'd be on Instagram somewhere arguing with somebody.
For sure. Like, I don't know. To me, it was obvious, you know, what happened, and
Yeah,
like it was just sad that it went down that way. Like I can't imagine how different things would be now.
yeah, yeah. It would have been different, man. It was definitely an unfortunate situation. You
Yeah,
know, Pop passed away. Was 25 years old, man. That's a kid,
yeah,
really. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, you know, it was tough for us because this was our big brother, especially for me, especially for the rest of the Outlaws. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it was very sad for us. Even looking back at it now, where you know you realize, like, man, he was only 25 years old. He had his whole life in front of him, but you know, it gets crazy out here. You know,
yeah,
America. You know, a lot of people don't know this, man, and America can be a violent place.
yeah,
You got people here that they don't value life, and it's nothing for them to take your life. And when Pop fought that individual, the mentality of the people here, they don't care if he's Tupac. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They wear their ego and their reputation.
yeah. After that happened, was everyone angry with Orlando Anderson? Did everyone know, you know, this is the guy who done it? Like nothing ever
We
sort of
you know,
happened to
rumor
him.
it was actually a little war in Compton. You know what I mean? After Pac died, see, there was many. I think maybe one or two more people got killed, but it
Wow.
was maybe about 7 shootings or 7 people got shot. It was a little war. The police didn't just like start kicking everybody doors in of gang members and locking them up. It probably been a lot of more dead people.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't like it was a little war, definitely.
And did everyone know that it was him back then, or was it like a
I think
mystery?
nobody can really pinpoint that it was him, but they knew it was from that hood. They don't know who in the car done it, but they knew it was these individuals who popped forth from Southside Crips that came to retaliate, you know?
Yeah. And so like people would have been looking for him.
They was, like I said, in Compton, it was a war. You know, it
Wow.
was a war between Mob Piru and Southside Crips. They were shooting at each other after that.
Yeah.
It was drive-by shootings, you know what I mean? It was definitely a small war that happened. The moment that they said Pac died, I think the very next day the shooting started.
Wow. Yeah, that would have changed a lot of people's lives too.
Yeah, you know,
And,
unfortunate.
and do you still keep in contact? You ever talked to Shug since?
I talked to Suge about a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Since I've been here, you know, the realest is a rapper. You know what I mean? And he's also a friend of mine. So he called me. He's like, Suge, when I holler at you, I spoke to him. I would say just once or twice. I couldn't really, you know, traveling with my family, so he seemed like he's in good spirits. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The realist you mentioned, he reminds me a lot of Tupac, that guy too.
Yeah, the realest. Yeah, real talk. He's a good dude. That's the homie right there. The realest.
Yeah, sweet. And I wanted to ask you, like, for what was your? Are you allowed to say what your favorite song was with the Outlaws, or like a positive one, or
Positive. If I would say a positive one,
yeah,
in the positive lyrics, it probably have to be "You Can Be Touched." You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
And, and do you ever miss it? Like any aspects of it?
I don't miss it, man. You know, I would say the only thing I miss is the camaraderie, the
Yeah,
brotherhood, the friends. But I don't miss it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I feel like I'm in a better place now. I survived over, you know, 20 years without it. The
yeah,
only thing I do miss from the music industry is Pac and Gaddafi and how the Outlaws and all of us was like family.
yeah. And Gaddafi, he got killed 6 months after Tupac. Is that right?
Gaddafi got killed, I'd say 2 months after Pac.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, fortunately.
And then, what happened? Did you guys all separate then as a group, or was that you just kept going?
No, we were still as a group. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Even though his death, it hit a whole. It was very difficult. Yeah,
No,
even
it's
though
good.
Gaddafi death, it was it was hard. It was hard for us because imagine we just lost Pac.
Yeah.
2 months later, we lose Gaddafi. You know what I mean? It was just back to back dealing with losing loved ones. It's not easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We stayed together as a group. And the only one who, fatal before Pac died, he kind of was slowly but surely going as he wasn't around the last couple of days, the last months or so. And so when Pac died and Gaddafi died, he just kept going his route as a solo artist. But the rest of us, we stayed together.
Yeah. I feel like Fatal could have blown up huge too. And I feel like he got blackballed as well, kind of thing.
Yeah. He kind of, even though he did a solo album and he kind of had some backing and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But of course, I think he might also got a little blackballed because it wasn't like, especially a person like Fatal and Gaddafi, these are strong lyricists.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
you know what I mean? But I guess the people, he's still an outlaw. And the East Coast, West Coast was new. And industries look at it like it was our fault. So
yeah,
we can see why,
Is that just like Diddy and that controlling the radio stations? Going, nah, not these guys.
Yeah, back then, especially back then.
Yeah. And that's crazy. And
Yeah,
I love following your story and all the positive stuff you're doing now. And I love still follow Edie and Noble. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
Really like what you've done and where you're going.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Have you got any surprises coming up, like with your podcast?
And now with with the podcast, we hoping to get, you know what I mean? We get back, start doing some more film. We got to get Mike Bibby. Mike Bibby used to play for Sacramento Kings.
Wow.
So I think he might be the next guest.
Okay. We're going to tune in. I'll link your podcast too, man, on this.
Appreciate that, man.
What was some of your favorite people that you've had a chance to meet?
You mean in general or just in the industry?
Both, I guess. Yeah.
In general, there were some solid people in the music industry. Like I said, Fat Joe, Mike Epps, these individuals just were solid dudes to us. Yep. And, but going to the Middle East, you meet different type of people. Yep. You meet people that open their doors and feed you and, just it's a different type of thing over there. You know what I mean? So
yep.
I met some pretty interesting people. You know what I mean? Pretty interesting people that just, but I would say that living in Saudi Arabia definitely have an impact on my life because I don't think I've ever been in an environment where the whole environment just give us.
Yeah.
Just giving, you know what I mean? And it's part of their culture too. You walk in their house, you have to eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just part of their culture. And saying no is rude to them. And they mean it.
Yeah.
So they don't even have to know you. You know what I mean? So it's just very impactful to be in an environment like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And less violence there, I guess, too.
Very safe. You know what I mean? Very safe. Very safe.
And what would like going back to your poetry, would you ever release a book, like an anthology of poems?
I think about it, you know what I mean? I think about, from time to time doing a poetry book and even a poetry album.
Yeah.
And I think, God willing, in the future, I would come to that, you know what I mean? Because I got to feel it.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person, I think about something, but then when it hit me, I go all out for it. So I think something telling me in my heart, and I really, not something telling me, but I really feel, I'm telling myself that I'm going to end up doing a poetry book or album.
I hope so. We need both, man. Like double-sided album.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
That's like still cool with the dog pound.
The dog pound, I never, I always Corrupt always been a good dude. You know what I mean? Daz, they good people. You know what I mean? We never really had no issues with them. We never really had no issues with the dog pound. I would say we was more closer to Corrupt.
Yeah.
Because he used to always come in the studio.
Yeah.
Even visit us in New Jersey one time. So Corrupt always been, Daz, even after Pac died, we did some songs with Daz. He produced some songs. He good peoples. They good people.
Yeah, I always thought they would have been a dog, like a Dog Pound Outlaws album. That would have been.
Yeah, I don't think we was that close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
But Pac wanted to do something. He used to say Thug Pound.
Thug Pound.
Yeah, he wanted to do something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or imagine like the Thug Pound Bone Thugs or something.
Yeah.
Just 3 super groups.
Yeah, wow, crazy.
Yeah.
And what kind of work with Prince?
Do you do any other artistic things now besides like poetry? And
That's the only thing that I feel is my element. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I started off just as a writer, just using my pen. That's the only thing I'm connected with, really, to be honest. As far as artistic, it's just poetry, you know?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I know it's been asked before, but like, what was your take on, the quad studios shooting with Tupac?
I think it was a lot of people, and I think Pac, he kind of got it wrong in some cases. You gotta understand, Pac, 23 years old when he first got shot, I believe. And he was hot. I don't believe personally Biggie had anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't think Biggie had anything to do with it. Believe it or not, some people might not agree, and proof that even Haitian Jack didn't have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It shows that he didn't really have nothing to do with it. So, I think one dude, I forget his name, he kind of came out and said it was Jimmy Henchman who, had something to do with it and things like that. So it was one of them individuals. It was a situation. I believe it was more of a hit on his life, not a robbery.
Yeah.
But he survived it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think eventually he would have, got past these issues with Biggie.
I definitely did, because I heard him say it out of his own mouth that he don't want nothing bad to happen to Biggie.
Yeah.
And people got to realize, man, that Pac, when we come from the hood, we deal with PTSD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The way we lived our life, how many bodies and how many people we seen get murdered in front of us, how many times we had to shoot at individuals. This is our reality. So Pac was a person got shot, then went to prison. He didn't even get a chance to heal.
Yep.
And then
that's crazy.
come out of prison straight to the studio, ready to diss people. He never really got a chance to sit back. You know what I mean? So I believe if he, and a lot, God knows best, man, he probably would have got over it.
Yeah.
A lot of
definitely. I know, I've been angry at people when I was that young, and years later it's like, oh no.
A real talk, you know what I mean?
Everyone grows up.
You look at life different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When Biggie died, like, how did you guys take that? Was there, where he's like, oh, people are going to think this was us or something?
Nah, but when Biggie died, of course our mindset back then was different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now looking back at it, it's an unfortunate situation because he was a father, son, husband. You know what I mean? It's sad he was also young. You know what I mean? So now looking back at it, and it's a sad situation altogether. You know what I mean? For sure.
Definitely.
But back then, our mindset was ignorant. You know what I mean?
What was your plan back then? Before Pac passed away, what was the plan for you guys?
Before Pac passed away, the two things he was going to do is he's going to start his own record label, Under Death Row Record, and put an album out with us. And he's going to buy some land in Atlanta. He was going to build a compound where all of us will have our houses on this land, him and the rest of the Outlaws. And he really wanted to do that, you know what I mean? And always spoke about it. And but the inevitable came.
That's a pretty cool. That's pretty far thinking then for a 25-year-old as well. Like
25, he was advanced and mature. Very mature, very advanced.
Yeah. And what with now in Saudi Arabia, do you find that the quality of living is much better with less violence and guns and stuff?
Exactly.
Do you feel safer living there?
I feel safe there, man. It's not a violent culture. America, it's a violent culture here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a violent culture. It's just part of it seems like it's just sewn into the thread. The thread is sewn into the USA, just, you know what I mean? Maybe the way it was founded, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The mentality of the people, it's just crazy, bro. You know what I mean? So to be in a place like in Saudi Arabia, I don't have to look over my shoulder. I can go to a restaurant and I can have my back turned. I can eat in peace. Once I get back to America, I got to know who's walking in that door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My back is here. I'm looking at everything. I automatically got to change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I came to a war zone. when you're looking at an individual, how is he looking at me? What is he doing with his hands? It's sad that you got to live like that, but that's the reality of America.
Yeah,
you don't know, any second it can go down.
That's crazy,
You know?
man. And people would remember you and recognize you too. Like,
yeah.
do you get a lot
I
of
mean,
fans and stuff come up in America? Like, do you get hassled?
I get some people that show love. You know what I mean? I get some people that show love that come up. You know, majority of his love. You know what I mean? I don't think I had anybody came up to me and said anything negative.
Yeah.
You know, so it's love.
Yeah, that's cool. I've seen Nas shouted out the Outlaws on his new album too.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy. Does
Nas a legend. Man.
Did he ever reach out to you? So,
yeah, I spoke to him a few times. You know what I mean? I spoke to him every once in a while. We send text message to each other.
Yeah,
good dude.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, good dude. You just reminded me. I think I'm gonna hit him up and see if he's in LA.
Yeah, you need to get him on your podcast, man.
Yeah.
That's that one thing I always ask people. What's your favorite 3 movies of all time?
My favorite 3 movies definitely would say The Gladiator.
Yep.
Lean on Me. It's a Jersey classic.
I love that movie.
And Boys in the Hood is one of my favorite because it was the first time that we start to see our life. Yep. Even though it's a West Coast film, but we started seeing what we was going through in the hood on mainstream film. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. I love Lean on Me. I remember watching that as a kid too. Like,
yeah.
Morgan Freeman. That was cool.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman. And it had a good message, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was based on a true story, but it had a good message that you don't count nobody out, because the people that society look at was the losers in school became some of the best students. You know what I mean? They just needed a chance.
Yeah,
to believe in.
That right guidance.
Yeah, that right guidance, man. That push. Sometimes that's all it takes. You know what I mean? Is that someone to just, breathe positivity in it by telling a kid they can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is it going to be an Outlaws like documentary or movie coming out anytime soon?
I think they might be working on something. Young Noble, I know he always trying to work on something. So you never know. I'm sure they trying to put something together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love hearing, you got all the Tupac interviews. Everyone's always got them, but like I feel like the Outlaws got their own solid story that needs to be
told. You never know.
Yeah, like he's got an awesome story as well.
Thank you, man. You never know.
I've seen you had a couple. That's what I just wanted to ask. You had a couple of unreleased albums. What happened with that? Are we ever gonna?
That album, I think Johnny J's wife might have released it. I believe she did after years, you know what I mean? But it happened when, I did an album with Johnny J.
Yeah.
And I started getting more into my religion, and I told him I wanted to leave the industry, but he never released it, until years later. I believe about a year ago, his wife put it out, because even though I moved on, it's still their rights.
Yeah.
They own the music, they produce, they pay for it, they get to do what they want with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's pretty cool that he held on to it for you though. Like, he didn't release it for a while, I guess.
Yeah, it took years.
And what happened with Johnny J? Like, was he still working with you guys before he passed?
Johnny J, but the only person he wanted to work with was me out of the Outlaws.
Wow.
And and that was an honor.
Yeah.
I used to hear him play messages from so many different people, but for some reason he chose to produce a solo album on me, which it was honorable of him. You know what I mean? But he died. You know what I mean? It was rumors that they believe he got killed, and some people don't believe he took his own life, and we don't really know what happened. But sad situation, because he definitely was a good dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Was that the album he produced for you? Was that Loyalty Over Money? That one?
Now, Loyalty Over Money was an album that a friend of mine's, Tiny, he's a Mexican brother that I recently put up a picture yesterday of him. He dived in the music industry. Yeah, he dived in the music industry, and he was putting these albums together. And he did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I've heard that one. I love that album. And I know you don't listen to it anymore, but
yeah.
Another song I love is that you did the letter to Tupac.
Yeah, I did that tribute. That was actually That was with Johnny J.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
that
was
was with
trying to
Johnny
think of.
J. Yeah.
That one hit pretty hard as well. That was crazy.
Love.
I've always wanted to talk to you. Like, I'll try and follow you, and like,
Thank you, man.
you have to try and hook me up with my preem.
With Mopreme, yeah, I'll speak to Mopreme, man. I got to call
Yeah.
him today, matter of fact, and I'll tell him
Yeah,
that I did an interview with you and you want to interview him. And if he agree, I would
yeah,
send you his number. Then you can work the details out with him.
yeah. Because I think he's got an awesome story too, and I feel like he's
Yeah, he
just
got an awesome
disappeared.
story. Yeah, he kind of laying low, you know what I mean? But he's an OG, man.
Yeah,
And he, he's concerned with his father and stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
I'll try to put you in contact with him for sure.
yeah. Hopefully his father gets out. Like, I
Yeah, we
can't
hoping, man. We
seen there's a
hoping.
movement behind that, but
Yeah, we hope so. We thinking positive. At
yeah,
least more primitive, they thinking something good to happen. So we will see.
yeah. And do you still hear from the family? Like he's the rest of
I
Tupac's
haven't heard
family?
too. Yeah, I talked to Moon Jamala. That's Tupac's first cousin, a sister of Castro. She actually called me in Saudi Arabia right before I traveled. So that
Wow.
was a blessing. Big G, I speak to some of the family members. Bill Hussein, Castro brother, Tupac. Cause they hit me up every once in a while.
Yeah.
A good family, good
Yeah,
people.
that's cool. Like that you can stay in contact still after all this time.
Yeah, family, bro. Nothing can break that, God willing.
Yeah. Did you see some stuff on you in the exhibition?
I did, yeah. You know what I mean? I seen some pictures, some small videos and stuff.
Wow.
You know,
How did
playing
that
to my
make you
kids.
feel?
It was very emotional because maybe I didn't expect it, but seeing pictures and videos of you and your old friends bring back memories. Very emotional.
Do you still keep in contact with Storm as well?
Yeah, I talk to Storm every once in a while, like through Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We speak every once in a while.
She had some awesome stuff going on too. Like,
Yeah,
wish she kept
Storms.
going.
Yeah, Storm. Yeah, we talk every once in a while.
Yeah. Do you know? Do you remember any of your poetry off your top of your head?
We got some poetry, maybe at least 2 poetry videos that I recently dropped. Maybe not recently, but the last few years. That's
Yeah.
on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Life is one of them. I think one of them is called Life.
Okay. Yeah, I was hoping to try and get you to drop
try to
something
think
on
how I
here.
started off. If you know the first line, I can try to pick it up.
I was listening to it before you came on. From the city of bright lights.
From the city of bright lights. Hold on. From the city of bright lights. From the city of bright lights. What's the second line? Hold on. I got to catch it. Now you got me more saying, man, I can't remember what I wrote.
Playing fist fights or something.
From the city of bright lights and sunshine and fist fights. Wow, bro. Yeah,
Gunplay and fist fights from the city of bright lights.
City to bright lights to gunplays and fist fight. What's the next one?
To roam in the vast desert.
To roam in the vast desert, drinking gawa at midnight. Gawa is coffee. Yeah. See, he's coming back. So roam in the vast desert, drinking gawa at midnight. What's the next line? I'm gonna see if I can get at least 2 lines.
Some are waiting for me to fail, but Allah had better plans.
Some is waiting for me to fail, but Allah has better plan. Keep relying on Allah while I rely on no man.
Yes.
That's it, bro. I'm happy I even remember those 2 lines.
You said that exactly as I was playing it too.
Wow. Thanks, man. Appreciate that love, man. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna get back on some poetry soon.
Yeah, definitely.
God willing.
Thank you.
You're welcome, bro.
What advice would you give to the people who want to learn about, want to start writing?
I think if you got it in you, like you said, if you did some poetry as a kid, that means you got it in you. Because I always tell people, you got to have it in you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to have it in you. So by you doing some poetry as a kid, that means you got it in you. You just got to get just get the confidence to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just write down, you know what I mean? And keep trying. Don't give up, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And maybe one day when you spit some poetry, I'll tell you if it's good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you if it's good or not.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll get a straight up answer from you, man. I'll have to wait to send it to you. Yeah, I'll either spit something for you or I'll write something. I'll send you what I wrote one day.
Spit something, bro.
Yeah. I'll send you something. I'll find it.
Okay, cool. Just send it when you find it. Send
Yeah,
it.
but yeah, it's not like rap or anything. Just
Yeah, poetry, spoken
yeah.
word, poetry. Yeah, for sure.
I love what you said about um, music before, how it can affect you in different ways. Because
Yes,
for now, like I've been trying not to drink alcohol for a long time now, and
that's good, man.
some songs I'll listen to that I used to listen to, I was drinking. I'm like, man, I can't listen to that anymore because I just feel like drinking, kind of thing.
See? Yeah,
And
because the music can affect you in some. I think music songs you can find a music song that called to every evil.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And in the way that it happens, it make the people think it's cool to do it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Real talk.
And there's some, that I liked when I was exercising, and then I hear that and I feel like exercising. But
Yeah.
I think it's crazy how different stuff can impact you. I was just thinking about that from what you said.
Yeah, facts.
Where did all your names come from? You got Napoleon, and then Tupac had his other name, Machiavelli.
Yes, these names actually came when Pac was locked up. Because when he was in jail, he was just writing it, and you have nothing to do but read and think.
Yeah.
And strategize. So we went to visit him one day. He said, "Man, I want to give all of us alias. I'm gonna change my name to Machiavelli, for short Machiavelli, from a book that he read." And then he started one by one. Move. I want you to be Napoleon because it was said that Napoleon was short, but he was a strong individual. You're gonna be Napoleon. Edie, you're gonna be Idi Amin. I guess he looked like Idi Amin. Gaddafi, you're gonna be like Gaddafi, and Castro like Castro. So he just started throwing these names, Hussein from Saddam Hussein, you know what I mean? Just hitting us with these names.
Yeah.
And that's where we just rocked with it,
Man, that's cool. Yeah, I love Edie, man. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so I didn't know that. Park just came up with all those names for you.
Yeah,
Where'd
he
Young
came up with
Noble's name come from?
Young Noble, I think that name came from himself. Like when
Yeah,
we met
okay.
him, he was already Young Noble. And
Yeah,
and
cool.
Pot just ran with it. Yeah.
I've seen that song. I always used to listen to, was it Worldwide remix?
Yes. That was from our Still I Rise. Yeah, from the Still I Rise.
Yeah. I want to ask you too, like, I've never, like, what does it feel like to go from, you don't have anything to suddenly getting all that, getting all that stuff, I guess, money and.
I think because the type of family that I was raised with,
Yeah.
It didn't make me no different.
Yeah.
Because when I used to go back to my hood and be around my brothers and my cousins, even though I'm on records that sold millions of records, when I go back to my block, I used to go back to my hood, my block.
Yeah.
And I was still moved from the block.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it never got to my head, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the early songs they called you Moo, hey, instead of Napoleon.
Yeah, a lot of times, because that's my name. All of them called me Moo, even Pac. So sometimes you hear him just say Moo on one of the records.
Wow. Were you guys close with Thug Life?
Yeah, them the homies, of course. Big Psych was the homie. Macado, they always the homies. Rated R. I spoke to him months ago. He's locked up for murder.
Wow.
But I believe it's really self-defense.
Yeah.
And they try to get him life in prison. I hope he get, released because it was self-defense. But they was like our big brothers.
Yeah, he's been locked up for a long time now, hey?
They've been locked up for some years. I forget the exact time, but I spoke to him, I would say about 6-7 months ago, and he was in good spirits,
Wow. Hopefully he gets out. Does Macadocious still make music?
Macadocious, I don't think he make music. I follow him on Instagram though, but I don't think he do music anymore. But he doing good. You know what I mean? Doing good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see everyone's like growing up and
real talk
stuff, man. That's awesome. And do you have a message that you want to send out to the world, or any shout outs?
Just stay positive. You know what I mean? Just stay positive, man. Especially in the time we're living in, man. Stay positive. Try your best to think positive. And it has a positive effect on you mentally, physically, just by trying to move positive. And I pray that everybody stay strong out there and stay up, raise your kids. You know what I mean? Go for your dreams and keep it pushing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Who's your favorite person you've ever worked with besides Tupac?
Scarface.
Wow, that's a good answer. You still keep in contact with him? I feel like he kept it real with the Outlaws.
I haven't. Yeah, he was a good dude. Kept it real with us, but I haven't spoken to him in years or seen him. But
Yeah.
you know, that was a big bro.
Top two influences in your whole life.
Wow, I would say the Prophet Muhammad, of course, number one, and Tupac would be for what he done to me and done for my families. I can never forget the good he done for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's not on a spiritual level. That's just as a person who seen some good in me that I didn't see at that time, took me out of the hood, really, really tried his best to make me a better person, even though back then we was wild, ignorant, but I can never forget the good he did. You know what I mean? Changed my life. You know, I literally was on a block where people was getting their head blown off selling drugs. He gave me that opportunity. And of course, Prophet Muhammad, because he came with the last revelation from God. So that's number one.
Wow, man. I love it. That's
Thank you, bro.
real positive message, man. It's good to see you.
Thank you, man.
So
I
happy
appreciate
and positive.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man.
I was always rooting for the Outlaws, It's like
Dope. Yeah, we
said,
got some people around the world that really showed us love. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So we appreciate that, definitely.
Did you do well after Pac, or did it sort of decline?
It declined, man. I think because we lost our mentor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it declined, especially for me. I just became more like into alcohol and drugs, more violent, more angry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Did anyone try and come in and take over as a mentor? Or
No.
become the
I
leader?
think, we still had a lot. It wasn't where we was like anybody could step in and be a leader because we was all, we had a lot of good people around us. We had some OGs and people around us, but, we just had to really survive, pick up. You know what I mean? We wasn't comfortable to let somebody come and say, you be the lead. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? But we all just went on and we had a lot of good people in our corner for sure.
Yeah. It was like people going, okay, we need to put something together. Let's do this.
It was a lot of people behind the scene that just good people, not even from the music standpoint of view.
Yeah.
Just like good people that were supporting us that really was just like, I'm here for you guys. If you ever need me, I'm here. I'm a phone call away. You had some good people like that.
Wow. That's good, man. I see you doing you're always like training now too.
Yeah, I got to get back. Right. Once I get back to Saudi, I'm going to step it up again because I've been trying to eat every food that I haven't ate since I was a child over here.
Yeah, for sure, man. Wow, you look a lot different
Thank you, bro.
I was looking at the Novocaine album.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I was like a Mike Tyson on that joint.
You look a lot healthier, man.
Thank you, brother, man. Just trying to stay healthy, man.
Do you have any other things coming up we can look out for?
That's it right now. Just nothing major right now. Yeah. Maybe when I get back to Saudi, I bounce back because now I'm just like on vacation with family. Yeah. I did, I did do a podcast last week. I forget the name of the show, but he's out of Baltimore. Yeah. He's gonna drop that soon. You know what I mean? So and then I'm, just taking it easy, man. Nothing real right now, but hopefully something pop up in the future. I will let it be known.
Yeah, for sure, man. What does your kids do? Obviously they would know that where you came from and what you've done. What are they?
Like? Yeah, my kids, man, they ask a lot of questions, you know what I mean? And I explain things to them because they're getting a little older now. Yeah. My oldest son is 23 years old, Salif, so he know. And then I have Muhammad, Khalid, Aisha, and Salman. So they ask some questions once in a while, but they out in Saudi Arabia. I instill education is important.
Yeah, for
sure,
what I
mean?
Man.
So I try to make sure they stay focused on their education.
Yeah. And none of them want to follow in the path that you had.
Yeah, they gotta have different careers, different paths.
Man, that's cool, man. You're a good dad and good family, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, man. And it's an honor to be one of the first on your podcast show, bro. Keep it going. Bro. And I pray it be one of the biggest shows in the world, bro. So keep it up.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna get there. It's gonna keep growing.
Yeah, they keep going for sure, man.
Thanks, bro. Yeah.
Appreciate it. It's good to know you. So tag me when you put everything out.
Catch you, bro.
All right, peace.